Nation, how we doing? Happy Friday. Friday's my CEO day, so I spend the day usually in the morning doing social media stuff. So I re-jigged my social media content, always looking at the data, seeing what's working, seeing new ideas that I want to inject into things. And in the afternoon, I'm going to spend connecting with the people on my list of people who have made an impact in my life that I want to kind of stay in touch with, because I usually forget to stay in touch with people. So some of the people that I've met over the years, and if I haven't touched them in 90 days, then I connect with them again. So that's going to be my afternoon. But we are doing this break in between to chat with you guys. I see Adele here in the house. Her story. Meet an amazing entrepreneur. And there she is.
Hi, Evan. Adele here.
How you doing?
I'm awesome. Awesome.
I like it. Awesome is great. So Adele is part of my Movement Makers program. As part of that, we do an IG Live together. So what do we got, Adele?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I am thrilled. Thank you so much for this one-on-one time. I love it. I love it. So here's my situation that I'd love to have your guidance on. I've been an entrepreneur for about 15 years, a solopreneur, a youpreneur. And I've been building the product of me, so to speak, in terms of what I'm here to bring to the world, which is all about leaning through the heart. Because the reason I am here on this earth is to grow what I call the beloved community, to grow people, to connect and lead through their heart. So I feel awesome about the impact that I've made on a very local level. I live in Cleveland, Ohio. So I do a lot of work in Northeast Ohio. I've supported lots of change agents over the years. I've been really involved in racial equity work over the last 10 years. I'm supporting a lot of family-owned businesses. But now is the time to build my brand, because the only people who really know me are the people who I've worked closely with. And I've been totally blessed that I've grown my business really through word of mouth, which I know is a great way, and you can't really scale. And I've had this burning desire, I've had this voice in my heart for literally 12 years telling me to grow a media company, which in all honesty, up until now, I have not been a big social media user, but no time like the present. That's why I'm working with you, Evan.
Let's go. So what are you actually selling? What's the product or service?
Well, for now, it's essentially consulting, right? Education, support. And my real gift is a facilitator, a group process facilitator. That's what I love the most, is to work with leaders and leadership teams to help them lead the change that they would love by bringing systems and structures of how to work with universal law and tap into the power within us and have that actually generate results that they want to see. So, I have essentially a coaching program, right, that I sell, that I've designed now that I can scale, that involves them both enrolling in my courses, so to speak, but then also one-on-one time with teams of seeing how they're applying that teaching and operationalizing it in their world, like making it real for them. And I'm also trained as an anthropologist, so I'm all about making it indigenous to the team and to the culture that they're working with, instead of just trying to adopt all of my words. I like to help them make it real for them.
How much do you have to go back afterwards, after the initial training?
How much do I have to go back, or they have to go back?
You go back into the company after the initial training.
Oh, multiple times. It's a process. Like, I really recommend that people work with me for at least 9 months to a year, because it's a process. Like, the transformation process is all about repetition and repetition and repetition. And then it's also me supporting them in this process. Like, I have the honor of working with this amazing family-owned business, third generation family-owned business here. And they're in the process of really discovering, well, what really are our big goals? And then really, how do we organize ourselves to start to really achieve those? And that's a process.
And do you have to be there, or can this be Zoom, virtual? Like, if somebody in California wants to hire you, is that hard? Is it you have to?
No. I mean, I've been using Zoom for 4 or 5 years, but thanks to COVID, now it's so much more normalized. This one client in particular I was mentioning, they're construction, so they've been used to working more in person. So once a month I work with them. I mean, admittedly, group dynamics are better in person, and I'm happy to hop on a plane and meet with them in person. And funny you mentioned California, because that's my dream, is to be in both Ohio and California, to have 2 houses. So I can do it over Zoom. I've been doing it over Zoom with other groups, and it is for the group dynamic team stuff where you're applying it to your company. It's best if I meet with you in person. But I just got off a team call with that same company. Like I work with the whole team in person, and we've organized into sub teams, and I'll meet them on Zoom or meetings or something, and that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it being much better in person because it's also just you being the anthropologist. When somebody says something, you're going to look at the other people around the table and see how they react to it, where the boss thinks that he or she's doing a great job, but then you see the faces around, and you can kind of do it on Zoom, but it's a little harder. Like people
it's not the same. Like I was in an all-team meeting earlier this week where, you know, third generation family owners, and I could tell there was a conversation where the people on the leadership team who aren't family owners, they needed to be able to speak their truth. And I had to ask, I said, okay, all of you who are owners, because it's family, right? They're a bunch of cousins. I'm like, for the next 10 minutes, you're not going to say anything. You're just going to let these guys talk and really listen to what they have to say. Instead of one of them say one thing, and then when the owners comes in and says something, you know what I mean? To just give them space. And that's really what a gifted facilitator, that's my job as a facilitator, is to facilitate a healthy process where people can be seen and heard, and where they can really connect, right? And build cohesion and connection to make an impact.
And who hires you? Is it the CEO typically?
Typically, like the owner, CEO, COO. And for years, that's who hired me for the first 12 years of my business. And then I had this like aha moment where I was like, okay, I cannot have another one of these people hire me because in integrity of myself, because they would hire me and then it would be kind of like, can you please come in and fix my team?
Fix them.
Yeah, fix the team. But meanwhile, they weren't willing to look in the mirror. Right. And I was like, I just can't do it anymore. So I went off and I invested literally 10 years looking for kind of to build a toolkit that I believed in, that I saw got results for a lot of other people, that would truly support that personal individual level transformation as well. And in the process, build my courage to have that honest conversation with that CEO, that COO, to tell them, you know, you really, and that's what I've developed my kind of artist way around of how to deliver that in a way with love and compassion and in service to them getting the results that they have hired me to help them with.
And so are you still targeting CEOs, or it's a different target audience going
forward? No, it's still CEOs. I mean, I had this shift, like this aha moment 2 weeks ago where I was like, you know, my real clients is the leadership team. I mean, I know it's and the key leaders within it, but I had this like awareness that yes, it's the one or two CEO, COO, or family owner, right? And it's really that whole team, because that's where the magic happens, is with the team.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. That's my gift on earth, is teams and groups.
I think that just is part of your onboarding process, is just the willingness to call them out before you even get into it.
Say more.
Well, part of the onboarding, when you're talking to them, you say, yeah, I'd love to come in and fix the team, but honestly, in your language, we already have a problem. Because from the decade that I've done doing this with companies just like yours and even bigger, who want to grow fast, who are stuck, the biggest thing that shifts them from being able to go from however million, 5 million to 10 million, is the leadership team recognizing that the team's not broken, that they're both broken, and you have to meet halfway.
Yeah.
It's the first call before you get in, because if you go in and that's the assessment, you're hoping like to change them through the process, it's like they've already been sabotaging it from the beginning because they have the wrong mindset from the get.
Yeah, no, I feel you. That's where I was 10 years ago. So now I will only work with the leadership team if I'm working one-on-one I call it a VIP. Like my package is a minimum of 12 months of working in a one-on-one with one of those owners. So this company I'm actually working with is a $300 million business. And I had the honor of working with one of the owners for 1 whole year, a woman, the only woman in the ownership, and one of the few women in the whole company. So she and I had a really, we'd really built a relationship. And my leadership coaching is whole life coaching. So we're talking about your family life, your community service life, and your business leadership life. Because to me, I forgot to mention, my brand is called Yin-ovate, like yin yang, Yin-ovate, like more yin. And that's what I believe we need to bring back into harmony and balance, is we need to harmonize the yin with the yang. We got a lot of yang going on, especially in the business world. And so that's what I do now, is I only work with teams if I have an agreement, a one-on-one to work with one of those positional leaders.
Okay. Yeah, even as part of the onboarding, asking them a question like, what do you need to work on to improve to make this better?
Mm. That's great to ask them that direct question.
Yeah, like on your very first call, okay, hey, you got to come fix my team, Adele. Okay, great. I'd love to help. And in that process, what do you need to work on as well to improve? And if they're like, what do I need to work on? No, Adele, you got to fix my team. Like, this isn't going to work.
Well, I have my real story to share with that. Like, that saying that people say, a team is as strong as the weakest, weakest link, right? Have you heard that one?
Yeah.
I don't believe that, actually. I didn't see that over the years. What I saw was that teams were as strong as the strongest leader, whether that leader was a positional leader or just somebody who was on the team who was a natural leader, who knew how to speak the truth and who had vision and could see the direction that the team needed to go on. But if there wasn't that type of person on the team, that I could see the team wasn't ever really going to grow. So I use that, to your point, I use that story to help kind of tee up the importance in a gracious way of.
How many clients total, over the past 10 years? How many clients have you worked with?
About 100 in the past 10 years. I slowed down a bit because I had a baby. So
Congrats.
Thank you. I mean, he's 11 now, but in that window. But yeah, being a mom is the best. I love it. And that's why I became an entrepreneur, so I could be both a mom and so I could be my own boss when I became a mom.
What's your goal? Do you want to just get more clients and be a consultant? Do you want to have half your clients in California and here? Do you want to just raise your price?
No.
Want to build a team?
Evan, I want to change the world. That's why I'm working with you.
Let's go.
So my goal is to have my company Yin-ovate be the #1 loved, trusted, purchased, and implemented training program for the top 100 most influential leaders, essentially, in places of employment in the U.S. I want my program to support heart-centered leaders to lead change inside their companies, because I believe that the workplace is a super powerful place to implement revolutionary change and personal growth, because everybody's, you got a built-in accountability system and structure of support. So,
okay, so
I want to change the world.
Your program, is that Adele going to these companies and doing training and mentoring? Is that you have people under you who are going in and doing it? Is that they're using your portal or your videos or your tools?
Yeah, I'm building it. My vision now of the how, is, tapping into that vision level vibe, that energy of that. My current goal is to grow the company to 10 million. The goal I just mentioned is maybe an 8 or 10-year goal. So my goal is to build the portal. So there's tools of support for the leaders, but then that they could ripple out to all their employees and even their employees' families. And that's where I think social media is all the more important. But the way I like to lead is I like to empower the leadership team to lead the change inside the company, to make them the change agents. So my vision is to have ideally 5 very high-end companies at most in a year, and to have this tool set built so that it can ripple throughout their company. and I'm open to just discovering something really different because, I'm looking at like niching down and getting really clear and not just thinking about brand, but what's the category that I'm in. Because my intuition is like there's some disruptive innovation in the world of coaching that I feel like I want to be part of. I just have not exact clarity on what that is yet. But I know that having social media presence and really building my brand will help with that. I also had a radio show for a year. Like I've been experimenting with different types of media as a media messenger as well.
So we'll get there. You're looking at your $10 million company or the $10 million dream. How, I mean, that's not you coaching for $10 million. So what's the breakdown there? And I know you don't have specifics and numbers.
Yeah, no, I do have it broken down.
Okay.
So I have it like theoretically, let's say I'm coaching I had it on my whiteboard, I just took it down. 4 companies, $1 million each, some type of high level mastermind. And then my black box mystery to be discovered is some type of media product. I don't know what that is yet, but that's my framework at this point for the 10 million.
And that 1 million times 4 is you solo going in and working with the companies?
Yes. Like right now, my retainer with the company is around 15,000 a month, 15 to 20,000 a month. So I'd love to 10x that. And I know what the big boutiques firms, charge. So.
Well, also, I mean, an easy way to start with that is to go tap into everybody who you've worked with over the past X number of years, 10 years or whatever. See how they're doing. People it's either the company that has grown and you fell out of touch with for whatever reason, or you can do more with them and come back because the work is never done. Because then you have new team members,
right.
And then there's new ones, and then there's new growth. Like the problems at a $5 million is now different than $20 million, and they need help, right? So the
hard part is that the majority of my past clients were nonprofits, so they're not in the same. That's kind of a creative challenge. I'm moving into more for-profit.
But look at where they go. I mean, a lot of the leadership team, they don't all stay in the nonprofit sector.
That's a good point.
Look at them all on LinkedIn. See where they're at now. Maybe one's working at Coca-Cola now. Right? I mean, all the people that you've touched, they're not all just lifers in nonprofit. They've moved on. Like she came and she was awesome. I forgot what she's doing now. Right?
Okay.
And a lot of them, especially if they're local, a lot of them stay local, but maybe some of them move to other states. But a lot of people, a lot of great people in the nonprofit sector have to leave the nonprofit sector because they're talented and they're not making enough money.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about heart-centric and bringing more yin, it's like that's why they joined the nonprofit center. And now they're in the business yang world and they're struggling. They need you.
Good point, Evan.
That's why I'm here.
You are so smart.
You build your whole list. Like you go back 10 years and you find everybody on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is your playground for this. Okay. And you see where they're at. You see what they're doing right now. And you have them be your champions. If you think about it, if you work with 100 companies, how many employees at those companies have you worked with or volunteers or workers, right? That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
You may not remember everybody, obviously, but whatever files you have, you look them all up and then you make contact with them again and you tell them what you're up to. I think the Ying story will sell really well. I think
the Yin, you think?
Yeah, I think especially if they come from nonprofit and they're in the profit world. How long have you had that branding or positioning?
The name Yinovate for 8 years about.
Okay. So people already like most.
But they know more me. It's you know what I mean. It's just me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's great. But that's fantastic for this because you're the product. They love you. Hopefully, I mean, if somebody says I hate you, great, you move on. But most people will love you. Right?
It's true. They have so far.
How do we not love Adele? Yeah, and that's your fastest path to get to a higher revenue goal.
Okay.
All the people you've already worked with, having them, especially when people transition to another job, like the CEOs might be lifers or the family-owned business are lifers, and their kids are expected to take over and all that. Sometimes there's a jump, but the employees, there's big jumps, there's big shifts, even just from year to year. But that's how I got a lot of my business when I was first starting. I was working with different brands, and you build a great relationship with the brand manager, and they're working with Bank of America. You have a great relationship. They leave, they introduce you to the next Bank of America brand manager, and then they're going off to Verizon. He's like, hey, do you want to work with Verizon? Like, yeah, let's go.
That's awesome.
They have you inside the organizations because they love you, right? I think it's just been not enough communication and follow through with the people, not just the CEOs, but the people who went through the training. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if half of the people are now in the profit sector. Like the nonprofit sector is just turnover like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funky here in Cleveland because we have all this old money from this being like the Silicon Valley of 100 years ago. So we have a ton of foundation money. So our nonprofit sector is atypical for most regional economies, but still a lot of them. We also have a big healthcare economy. So some of them have moved into healthcare because that's a bigger, we have the Cleveland Clinic and these bigger.
Cleveland Clinic? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's target. We get four companies at $1 million a year to do it. You have to go. Those are big brands. That's not just some startup entrepreneur who's going to pay you $1 million. You got to go.
No. It's true.
It's the big brands who have big problems. So you can help.
Big money.
Yeah, exactly. And
I have a paradigm going on that they will only love like the big names, like the Booz Allen and the McKinsey but that's my own Mishigash. I'm gonna.
Well, listen. Yeah, we gotta dump that. If your goal is to sell $1 million consulting gig per year times 4 clients, you have to walk in feeling like you can crush Booz Allen.
I can. I have faith.
And you have your people to champion you in. It's like, yeah, I had Adele 3 years ago, and she really, really helped me with this situation. So I think even before making content, that's your number one strategy, is to try to find every file you have, going back, and all the people who are in the training, even if you don't remember them individually, and you say, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I led the training at your organization 3 years ago, and we talked about XYZ. I noticed that you're at Coca-Cola now, or Cleveland Clinic now, and how are you doing?
Just check in.
Yeah.
And then I also am launching a new course that it's a really important course, and it's intended to be a lead generator because it's just 4 parts and it's a lower price point, and it's on racial equity, which of course is very up now. But I could even I'm thinking as you're saying that, I could even just use that as a touch point. And then, oh, by the way, given, thank you, Suki, to what else I have on my offerings, so to speak. So that's helpful versus cold calling people.
Well, you're not cold calling, you're LinkedIn messaging people who already know you.
Right.
I'm not saying go cold call the Cleveland Clinic.
No. I was saying versus like before plans that people, with this course, people had told me to just start calling people, etc. I'm saying this is like combining warm leads with a low hanging fruit, easy little product that I've got.
The team you like.
I'm so very blessed. I just grew my team, doubled with one person, and she's my best friend from kindergarten.
Wow.
I know. So
okay,
awesome.
so
it's like a dream come true.
I think your best path is to focus in on getting the higher paying clients, getting out of the nonprofit sector, and like you can keep like 1 client or 2 clients or something. Like I keep 10% of my work for free. 10% of people come to my seminars are free, as a max, just to feel good, and like not everybody can afford it, but I want 90% of your time spent on people who are paying you mega bucks.
Okay.
And what that does is give you the financial freedom to go and hire a team to help you with everything else that you're doing.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Content, making videos, it's great. And if you had 3 people helping you film the videos, edit the videos, do the thumbnails, all that stuff, you can just grow a lot faster. But how do you get the money to do that? You are doing the high paying consulting that we're getting $1 million a year from these companies to do, or working towards it, right? Like,
right, working towards it. So what I hear you saying is, Adele, focus more on going back through LinkedIn. That's my gold mine, finding the names. That's my best marketing strategy. But what about number of videos to be making per week in terms of your recommendations with getting my name out there on social media?
Yeah, I'd see that more as a skill to start building. So
I'm sorry, that I want to be sure I'm clear. That of the video or the LinkedIn reach out?
No, LinkedIn reach out, you'll be fine at.
Okay.
The videos, learning to make thought leadership videos. It's a skill to learn so that when you've got the team to be able to really push you far, you've also got the skill set to match. The formula that we put in Built to Serve at the end, the thought leadership template, takes a while to get good at.
Okay.
I mean, you'll be great on camera. You're warm. You're intelligent. You got a great smile. You're caring. You have great energy. But there's still a difference of talking to the camera by yourself versus being on stage or doing an interview or talking to somebody in front of you. I just think because of your history, because of all the people you've already touched, you're basically sitting on a gold mine right now. The other thing I would really look at if I'm you is, for the companies, having a leadership training program, which could be one-on-one coaching. There's a program here in Canada called the Judy Project, which there was a woman named Judy. It's named after her. She passed, but it was put on she worked at one of the biggest banks in the country. And she was passionate about helping women become leaders. Like, how do women pathing to the C-suite, whether that's CEO, CFO, COO, or like potential pathing to the C-suite. This is something that in big companies people pay attention to. In small companies, they're not. Like succession planning, who's going to be our CEO in 10 years? Nobody's thinking about that. But in big companies, like companies that are going to pay you $1 million a year, they're already thinking leadership team. They're already keeping their eye down on the people, in their 30s and looking at, does this person have potential? So that's where working with high potential targets inside a company and helping them scale up. Because if there's this potential hotshot up and coming woman who might be the next CFO of the company, they don't want her to leave to go somewhere else.
Okay.
But she may be too green and missing she's got a lot of the raw assets and intelligence, but missing some of the soft skills to be able to make it happen. That's where they hire you to come in and coach. So it's not the CEO. I mean, it could be the CEO too, executive coaching, but the leadership up and coming team, when you're looking at the players of the size that you're looking at, right? Again, in a smaller company, entrepreneurs, leadership team is the entrepreneur and whoever is kind of basically around them. But when you get into giant companies, they care about their up and coming people, and they'll invest. So the Judy Project is when I was speaking there, was a 3-day event, I believe, where the women from basically every big company took the top 50 companies in the country, and they sent their best up and coming woman to the 3-day retreat in the middle of nowhere. And they got to network with each other, and they got to learn from speakers. So I was one of the only male speakers. This is supposed to be all women, so I don't know why they picked me, but I was honored. I didn't even heard about the project before. I was honored to be involved, but there's a lot of investment that people will make, big companies will make into their future potential leadership team, whereas right now you're just targeting the current leadership team. But in the big business, that may not be the model. It's the up and coming, and then they work with you for 5 years, and you help them get from senior vice president to CFO.
Wow, that's what Vicky Lynn is saying. It's called a deep select process. Is that right, Vicky? Yeah, no, that's awesome, Evan. And synchronistically, when 10-15 years ago, the leadership programs that I was developing was more along the lines of kind of exactly this, where I was coming in and was like the leadership coach for the up and comers, because I was at that age as well in my own career. I was early as an entrepreneur, but we were around the same age.
Yeah.
So
I think it's better to work within, like they'll already know, like the big companies already have a selection process. Like you're not coming in to say, okay, I'll help you pick the person. Like they already kind of know who the person is, but they see the road that's ahead and they know that this person is not ready yet. And there's all sorts of pitfalls and failures that the person either can't get over or leaves and goes to another company because they don't see them properly here. That's where they could work with you. And even if you're working with, just like the Judy Project, you're working with the top up and coming 50, women leaders and getting them together. So it's like learn from Adele, but also meet each other and have a support group, right? That's why I said it. I know, right? Because a lot of connections are made, and then there's a lot of things that, at least from my recollection of the Judy Project, people were sharing that they're saying, I can't tell this to anybody because in my company I can't share it because it's politics, and the men I know don't understand. Like they kind of understand, but it's not the same thing as being a senior vice president woman at a company where you're the only one. So them being able to meet each other in a similar role, different businesses, could be a ton of value. Just like movement makers, like you're here to learn from me, but there's a lot of connections that happen between the people too,
Totally.
Which is great. I love it, but I was like, oh, I want to be involved in what you guys are doing. So I think the more you can connect your clients like that as well. So, and whether it's women focused or just kind of the people who resonate with the yin and recognize they're living in a yang world and they need that help. I think it's another big bonus ad that can also take you out of the equation. So you're not just selling your time for money, right? Is that in the mastermind part of it, you're connecting them together, and that alone is value. And that could be incredible value because otherwise you'd never have met each other. And they're now connecting with each other and sharing information, tips and advice and guidance and support without you having to be involved in part of your kind of hourly or weekly billings.
Right. Well, I love that too, because that's also where my magic as a group facilitator can come in. In fact, I took a sidebar for a while, and the whole you're your own avatar. I did work with women entrepreneurs for a while. They don't have the revenue to invest at the level I would love to be at, but I love the magic of having them be, I called it a learning circle. Like it was awesome.
Well, if you're working with the top 50 women across America or across Ohio up and coming, you can then have 5 women who are part of your accelerator program who are the entrepreneurs who are here to learn from
at a totally different price point. Right.
Different price point. And listen, and it's known that they're part of the accelerator program, and they're people that you handpick that you think could really, they've got the drive, they got the ambition, they got the heart, they're just in a different, they'll never be a CEO at a giant company. And the people who are in it, then, the 50, it's not half and half, because then it becomes, oh, why am I part of this group where half of these people are entrepreneurs? But if they see like 5 up and coming young women, hotshots who have a lot of potential, people like giving back and helping. So that's like a good feel-good project, feeds the soul. And you never know what those 5 women are going to go off and do, but still, it's like mostly focused on the people who are going to grow, pay us a lot of money for it, bring a lot of value. Or if you want to pick one nonprofit to be a part of it, that 10%.
Right. Or even what just dropped in for me, because I have so much passion around racial justice. And I actually came to that through doing women's leadership work, because I learned here in the States, the women's movement falls apart around race lines. Of having that small number, like 5 women or so, be, Black women entrepreneurs, women of color entrepreneurs in particular, because that's where part of the breakdown is too. It's just the connections, right? And the relationships.
So you've just picked 10%, and it's whatever pulls at your heartstrings and feels like you'll just go off to the vibe. You'll be fine. You'll be great at picking who those extra people are. The challenge is more, okay, those are only the 10%. I need to go off and get the 90. I need to go get the women inside the corporate. So I think that's where most of your effort should be. I think making the videos is great. I think on the content side, I'd make videos, yes, geared towards the leaders. And I think half of your content should be geared towards the employees and what they can do.
Okay. So kind of split it 50-50.
Yeah,
Audience
because
of
you'll get
leader,
more.
audience of employee. Okay.
You'll get more traction on the other side because there aren't as many leaders as there are employees.
Good point.
So whatever the most common struggles are that you hear around the table, how do you, and especially with people who are kind of yin focused and may have a hard time speaking up, how do you get heard? How do you get your opinion out without seeming pushy? How do you deal with politics inside an organization? How do you how do you deal with racial injustice? How do you, right? All of the stuff that the employees would feel like they're struggling with too, because you want them to basically champion you coming into the organization. There's just more of a chance of them seeing the content than the leader being, how do I be a better leader? You want them to see your content and say, oh my gosh, how do we bring Adele into our company? And they pitch you to the leadership team.
And which platform would you say start with? Instagram and then kind of post
YouTube and
just do LinkedIn?
YouTube and LinkedIn.
Okay.
YouTube and LinkedIn. This is a hardcore business audience. If you were saying entrepreneurs, maybe there's a case for Instagram, but you need to be selling corporate.
Okay.
There's more money, there's more investment into training. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, they have what's your training program for your employees? I don't know. I train them. It's just different worlds. So yeah, corporate is where you need to go. Local is easier, but in terms of content, YouTube first, and then cut it for LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I would pick the 3 most relevant hashtags with every post that you're making.
Okay.
So whatever, like hashtags matter on LinkedIn. You can't do too many.
Okay.
So 3 most relevant big ones though. Whatever, I don't know what comes to mind, but like leadership, teamwork, whatever the content piece is about. Yeah, and if you want to post on Instagram, that's fine, but YouTube and LinkedIn, like LinkedIn is your most immediate priority. You could blow your business up just using LinkedIn, both from going back and looking at your old contacts, right, and connecting with them. YouTube is a longer game. YouTube is that other 6 million in your plan. You know, you got your 4 million of, okay, I'm going to do consulting, coaching, masterminding. I see how that could work. I got to just go find the right 4 companies who will pay me $1 million a year, and they're of a certain size. LinkedIn. The other 6 is going to be more scale. It's going to be more America. It's going to be more tools. It's going to be programs and software and ebooks and guides, and not you.
Right.
Flying to every city every day going crazy. So that's where YouTube is going to be super important for you to start building that brand.
Awesome.
Yeah. Are we ready? Is it happening? Are we good?
I mean, Evan, thank you. You rock.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's make it happen. The Judy project time too. Now it's the Adele project. Let's make it happen.
I love it.
Yeah.
Innovate with Adele. That's my tagline. Leading through the heart. That's all my how-to is how to lead through the heart. So
and I think
awesome.
a video. I think also in your messaging, you need a standalone video on what Yang looks like in the business world.
Wow.
Like, why is Yang? What is it? Not everybody will understand. I mean, they get yin yang, but we know it's supposed to be equal. But I don't even know what does yin mean and what does yang mean, right? So explaining what yang means and why too much of it is bad. You're not saying it's all bad, because we got to balance it, but too much of it is bad. And I think people will connect to the messaging around that and feel like, yeah, I get what she's saying, and I've never heard anybody in the business world talk like this. Let's bring her in. Yeah. All right,
dude. Thanks a million, man. I love it. Thank you.
Good luck. We'll see
All
you. We'll
right.
see the movement makers next week.
Yes, you'll see me there and sending big heart hugs across the Great Lakes, across the boundary there. I'm saying farewell from the North Shore of America.
Let's go. I love it. Thank you, Adele. All right.
Bye. Mwah. Thank you. Bye.